Hi guys, I'm back out here in the garden again. I'm just coming to check everything out today, checking things out after this rain we have had all night long and all day yesterday. Just want to make sure everything is still okay. Yeah. Coming to check. I left my wood chips in this bucket and they are wet. I'm gonna stand this up. I left it in this gorilla cart. Hold on guys. I did have it covered up, but I guess the wind or whatever probably blew it off. I covered it back up. Half of it is still dry, but it's water in there, and I'm not going to dump that water out because when I get ready to fertilize, that is what I use that water to fertilize. It'll be easy to throw some fertilizer in there, some fish emulsion in there, and mix it around. I had my chart covered up with these little bags, trying to keep the little pest off of them because they are loving the Swiss chard in this garden. I'll recover this one. I just pulled it off to check on. I want to make sure I'm not bending it up by having that bag on there, even though the bag stands up tall. I just want to make sure my blue collards are doing good. Just want to come out here and check everything. Y'all, you know, I was kind of thinking how my garden is, and that I have a lot of things in here that I planted from seed, but I also have a lot of seedlings. I don't have you all on the tripod. I'm just holding you with my hand, and I'm just out here walking around, coming out of the house. This is a work day for me, so I'm just out here. I'm not doing anything. I was just thinking how a lot of my garden is from seeds and from seedlings. You know, and I know sometimes you get discouraged when you hear other gardeners saying, oh, I grow everything from seed. Everything I grew out here in my garden is from seed. This is all from seed, baby. You know, sometimes I hear that and I be thinking to myself, so what? You know, just because you growing from a seedling, that don't mean you're not gardening. That don't mean your garden is not any more real than anybody else's. Because I have things that I grew from seed, which is, look at my peppers that are still giving. I can show you closely now all the cayenne pepper that's growing on this vine. And if they all turn red at once, that'll be a great harvest. And then the purple peppers are still giving. Look at these purple peppers. I just harvested the day before yesterday. In a little video, I harvested about 5. You know, they're still giving. And I grew those from seed, but I also grew a lot of stuff, starters, plugs, whatever you all want to call them. You know, that don't mean you're not gardening just as that started everything in their garden from seed. That's great that they were able to do that, but that's not the case for everybody, you know. The same as I'm a container gardener. I grow everything in a container. All these containers, everything here that I grow is in containers. Everything is in a container. All of my fruit trees, all of my veggies, everything is in a container. Look, my blueberries, my papaya tree. I have a raised bed container. Encouraged to still grow in your containers. Just because you hear somebody say, oh, I grow in ground, I grow in ground. Like my garden is in ground, I only grow in ground. You know what I be saying? So I grow in containers. Is the food any better because it's in the ground? It's pulling naturally. That's a natural way of growing. But God knew what he was doing when he made these containers, when he gave people the idea to come up with these containers for us to grow in. Or people get the idea that it's good at doing DIY. They grow inside of tires and everything. The person that thought of these grow bags, that was a good idea for people who don't have a lot of property. For people like me, my yard seemed big, but in this one yard, I have a huge fig tree. Not doing anything right now. That sun kind of tore it up. That sun kind of beat it down. It's starting to get some leaves on it. I have an orange tree right there, a small one. It produces a couple of oranges a year sometimes. That's something my dad planted. All this stuff that's in ground is what my dad planted. And then I have this orange tree over here. But back here is the little burn area. But that's taking up a lot of the yard. Then I have the shed that's behind that orange tree. And then now I just plopped the quail coop up. If you can see, the quail coop is getting blurred. The quail coop. So just because somebody else is growing in ground and you have a small space and you growing in a container, that don't make them a better gardener than you. You know, you hear stuff like that. Sometimes I'll be hearing, I'll be like, so what? That's what I be thinking about. We all gardeners. No matter how you're growing your food, that's my point. No matter how you growing your food, the point is, you look at this lemons Meyer. I don't have it in the ground. It's growing right out of this 21-gallon bucket, and it's producing. So, you know, they're growing in ground, and that's good. That's the natural way of doing things. And maybe they have a small piece of property and they're able to grow in ground. But everybody's not that fortunate. So just because you're growing in containers, you're still growing. You're still a gardener. Look at this ruby red grapefruit. They're turning. And where is that? In a container, 21-gallon container. So be encouraged to keep going. You know, just because somebody else is doing it a little different, or they got their stuff in ground, or everything in their garden come from seed, that's good. And look at my blackberries. They produced so much last year. And what are they in? 21-gallon pots. This grapevine right here, 21-gallon pot. I had plenty of black seeded grapes during the summer, growing in a 21-gallon pot. Everything around here is in a container. I have guava this is a 17-gallon pot, 17.5-gallon pot. I have 2 guavas on here now. That's one. Look how big it's getting. I don't want to touch it because, honey, I touched one the other day and I knocked the whole thing off trying to pop it up. But it's getting bigger and it's turning lighter. It's turning a little yellowish, and I think that's kind of how it's supposed to turn. Then I have one right here as well. You know, but in this cherry, it's in a what? I think this might be a 15-gallon pot that I got from another big plant that I bought home and repotted, and I use that to put my cherry bush in it. I'll be changing it to a 21-gallon pot for its forever home. It's just in here this summer because I know it wasn't going to fruit because it was very small when I got it. It did all of this throughout the summer, but it didn't bear any kind of berries or anything like that. And I have been trying another cherry tree, but if you follow this channel, you know here in my area, we just get the basic of everything. And I think Barbados cherry is probably the basic cherry tree. So that's what we have in this area. I looked and looked, you know, when spring first begun, when they had out all the fruit trees and stuff. But I know it's some plant nurseries, other places. So I'm going to have to travel a little bit out of my city limits to find something else, and I will do that, especially when spring gets ready to start again. I do plan on venturing out to other little towns that's close to me and seeing what they have, because we have some large nurseries, but they're just not in my city, in my area, maybe an hour and a half away from me. But when I'm ready to go do that, I'll do that. You know, but I'm just trying to encourage you, just because you growing from a seedling and not a seed, or you may be doing both, you know, just still be encouraged. Don't let what somebody else doing distract you or to make you feel like you're not doing as much, you know. And I have read some people's comments on other people's page, which I can say I haven't had a lot of negativity on my page, but I know I don't have a huge following either. I know along with a huge following come a lot of naysayers and negative comments and stuff like that. So I haven't had to really deal with that yet. I think the worst comment I had, somebody said, "I can't hear you. You need to get a mic." I didn't get upset because she was right. I needed to get a mic. And the thing was, I had a mic. I just wasn't using it, which was crazy on my part, especially dealing with this AC out here. Now I wear the mic all the time. You can't get me out here without the mic on. But that's just want to encourage you. You know, you hear stuff like that. It's good that people could grow in ground. It's good that they could grow everything in their garden from seed. But, you know I'm a container gardener. And I be like, so my fruit's still growing. My stuff's still producing. So look at this basil leaning all over. Look at my greens right here still growing. And all of us are having problems. Look at the mustards. All of us are having problems with the worms and stuff, and they're starting to get hold of this bush too. As these are just yellow leaves I'm popping off, but I could see some thinness up here. I don't know what causes that. Could be something biting on it. I don't know. But I'm just saying all of this just to say be encouraged. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep working what's going on in your, if it works for you in your garden. Like I have both things going on. I have seeds and I have seedlings. Look at my seedlings right growing. But I could tell you my seeds are doing just as good when you look at my peppers. I'm showing peppers because that's the last thing that I have left from the summer garden. You know, those are my peppers. But I also have, let me see, I also have some things around here that I did from, but I also have my watermelon radish that I grow. That was from seed. So this whole thing to the top is from seed, down to the bottom is seedlings, plugs, starter plants, you know, whatever people call it, different things in different places, you know, but I have a little bit of everything growing on here. I did from seed. Look at this rosemary. I started that when I took a scrip of rosemary from another rosemary plant that somebody gave me. And I started that rosemary. The piece that they gave me wasn't that big, but I took a little script from it, and I got that idea from Glazed Garden Girl, Creative Cultivator. I know she done flipped the name around to Creative Cultivator, Glazed Garden Girl. One and the same person. But I got that idea from her, how to start a rosemary plant without having to do seed or buy a whole nother plant. And that's been there for since the beginning of my garden now, because she was one of the first people that I started watching when I first started checking out, you know, what to do about gardening and how to do it. But be encouraged, because I know it's a lot of us container gardeners. It's a lot of people that I follow that are growing in a small space on their patio or out in their backyard, and they're doing amazing. Their garden is looking amazing. They're doing really good. You know, the struggling gardener, she's growing in a small space on her patio. She's doing good. Just got her first green stalk. You know, that helps her because that's a stackable thing and it saves space. It only takes up about 2 feet. It only takes up about 2 feet across, and it saves space. You can get, if you get the tall stacker like I have right here, this is a 6-tier. My strawberry tower, which looks like it's a little leaning tower right now, but it hasn't never fallen over. It's that's a 7-tier. And then I have the newest thing, a 3-tier right here in the peppercorn. But I got a plant in every one of those, 6 pockets, 6 times 3. That's about, what, I think 18 is that number. Y'all know me in a number. I'll tell you a wrong number, but I'll put it up on the screen if my multiplication is wrong. But look how well it's doing. And I just dropped those seedlings in there last week sometimes. I'll say maybe 4 or 5 days ago. I dropped those seedlings in there, and they're doing good. Growing right here in a 10-inch pocket container. So you could grow in ground and you would get the same result. You know, we have to amend our soil. They have to amend the soil too. Yes, I think trees that's in the ground like this orange tree, yes, I think it can reach for vitamins and minerals that's in the soil that we definitely cannot get in containers. We have to feed these containers because they only get what we give them versus something that's in the ground. You know, so it's a plus growing either way. But don't feel bad if you're not in the ground or you're not growing by seed. You know, so what? You still producing. I have a tomato plant that's been back here since the beginning of maybe February, started growing, and it's still growing. Still got tomatoes on it. And one right here, trying to it's blushing. But just be encouraged. You know, if you're growing in containers or if you're growing in ground, just be encouraged with what you're doing in your yard and just keep pressing in and keep doing a good work. You know, just be encouraged, because I'm encouraged. Every time I come out here and I see something growing, honey, I be encouraged about that thing. Especially like this guava. It started off so tiny. It didn't need any props. It just was really a little small twig. Now look at it. It's all the way up here. I've been trying to rope it back in. because I didn't know it was going to get so wild. And if I have to, I'll give it a few more gallons, because this is a 17 gallon. I could put it in one of the 20-gallon pots because I bought some extra when they was on sale. That's what I did. I bought some extras when they was on sale. You know, I know this grapevine's going to come back. You know, I'm just walking around here checking things out. Honey, the worms is beating our time this season. Look at my poor kale. It's been eaten down. But I think I'm going to drop some more. Either what I'm going to do is put some bottles over these, because this one right here has been completely stripped. You know, this is eaten up. But I think what I'm going to do is put the water bottles over these. I do have the little water bottles still that I used last year to try to see if they can't save themselves. You know, I got the fertilizer in there and the amendments, you know, but it's only so much you could do, because you can't spend the night out here in this garden trying to look for the worms. I'm getting bit up by mosquitoes because I don't have pants on, and I have on short sleeves, which is something I never do. I'm out here in one of my little t-shirt house dresses, just walking around. I just wanted to come and see what things was looking like after the rain, and we are getting more rain. More rain is to come. We really have a rainy week ahead of us, and that's good for the plants if we could get the water in it. As you can look in here and see, just around the plant, the root of the plant is wet, but the rest of this pocket is dry. It rained all night here, and it was raining this morning. We had a hard time trying to get our dog out to walk him. We have a little pooch, but if you look deep and down, you can see deep in the pocket, you can see where it's darker right there. That's moist, and the root of the plant is right there. But the root of the plant also could go all the way back into this area where it's dry at. So that's why you still have to come out and water. And don't just assume because it rained that you don't have to water. Come out and do that finger check. Put your finger down in there and check to see if you need to water or not. That's the only that I heard that from a gardener, and that stuck with me, and I use it all the time. And every time I do that finger check, I need to water. It'll be dry. It's just wet on the surface, and that's it. Now these grow bags here in Grow Bag Lane, I'm pretty sure they're soaked. And the reason I know that is because I have the pocket, the little plate up under them, and you can see the water is in there on all of these. This one doesn't have a plate, but this one does. So even when it starts drying out, it still has water it could suck up back into the dry dirt. And the rain is good for my grass, my soil that I'm making here, that I use to mix in other soil for a little fertilizer, where I have all my food scraps, egg shells, and fruit peels and everything. And that's the bucket that I was pulling from earlier in an earlier video. I keep an extra barrel over there with nothing but grass clippings. So as I throw stuff in here and I need to cover it to keep down flies and bugs and stuff, I pull from there and just cover it, bury it under within that bucket. And that's been breaking down. That's breaking down. The latest thing I threw in there was some of the pineapple leaves. I did keep the tops of my pineapples, but some of them I plucked, the ones that I plucked from around the bottom part of it, that's what I threw in there. But yep, that's it, guys. Go in just another day in the garden, just trying to encourage us to just keep going. You know, I am a beginner gardener, and somebody had to encourage me, and people still encourage me because I get a lot of comments on my video saying that I'm doing a good job and that things are looking good, and that really encourages me to keep going, because some days you be wanting to give up out here, especially when you come out here and the worm done ate everything down. And you be like, well, dog, I was out here yesterday and it looked so good through the night. They done scripted. You come out here, you have stems, you know. So you need that encouraging word to keep going on to the next thing. All right, guys, that's it. I'll see you guys on the next one.